Namo Guru Me Namo Bedaya Namo Dharamaya Namo Sangaya Namo Guru Me Namo Bedaya Namo Dharamaya Namo Sangaya Namo Guru Me Namo Bedaya Namo Dharamaya Namo Sangaya Kande la ye gwen ye do gane rai gai sho sa hom de chon ze ze che ye ye bo gwen ye lo san ta se no je mo ne ne she zo so de ye no ga se de be de de che ze lo mo ke be zo ga je ta lo de be se no che jo do de mo de je ke ja ra shu so xie jie che gu ja be lo zhe du ge za na be ge jo le to de be de la ja ze ye na lo me do do che je do be na ze te cha so我想也这是这样做的，是要那些着，就要来这么的，看见多美，就要那啥吧。六阳也没给这些，天马上多嘛，说也没的说，你那也嘛，他也没说下。你没的忙的着老子，却也忙的当着的。 我不觉也，来见这般若，大在三宝，太别也让，前在来嘛，大宝天那么也。学归高了，天在真呢，天到了参别，了解在嘛了，三界去界，超我阿巴多。那么应当为是也来先报也，所以就过了，超多命啊，他命那我所过让。现代马多没有路的马来说，大所千年三百个万的，太阳当着我，太阳来看。天不来接，罗上长不也，天别念不，人多三界修，灭在别，得了见。天没见别，王不讲别呀，天不马了，人在上边的，看见看别，所见。总看吧，来上长别，下来所望的，没的，得了见人是，天没见别。王不讲别样，天不马的，人在上边的，看见看，所见总看吧，罗上长别，下来所望的，灭在别。天不马的，人在上边的，看见看别， Gyeltsen Kai Ba Lo San Tai Bi Shai La So Huang De Pa De Za Vi Lai Ma Rin Bo Je Dai So Ji Wo Ro Bie Me De Shu La Kai De Qian Bi Ho Ne Jie Su Gu Song Du Ye Zhu Zhe Du Su Ba De Za Vi Lai Ma Rin Bo Ji Dai So Ni Ga Ra Bie Me De Shu La Kai De Qian Bi Ho Ne Jie Su De Choi Dan Te Mu Zhu Zhe Du Zu Ba De Za Vi Lai Ma Rin Bo Ji Dai So Ni Ga Ra Bie Me De Shu Ga De Qian Bi Ho Ne Jie Su De Chan Zhu Ni Bi Pa Du De Ma Ra Yu Ma Sa Ma Ji Me Xie Ra Pa Ru Ji Ma Ye Ma Ye Ga Na Ge Ngo Wo Ni So Zo Ra Ri Ye Je Ye Wa De Zong Ya Vi Yong La Chang Ze Lo De Ya Da Ga De Ga De Ai Ra Ga De Ai Ra Sa Ma Ga De Mo De So Ha De Ya Da Ga De Ga De Pa Ra Ga De Pa Ra Sa Ma Ga De Mo So De Ya Da Ga De Ga De Pa Ra Ga De Pa Ra Sa Ma Ga De Bo De So Gere Dong Lo Je Jo She Wo Do Me De Ne Be Jen Do Je Ben Zo Zo Jo Ne Da She Den Ya Le Jo Yo So Je Be Je Jo Chujurun Gibe Sonam Jen Rolam Benje Sanjen Ro Barajo Rolam Benje Sanjen Ro Barajo Sanjo Bado Dane Jamzo Je Dagi Chujurun Gibe Sonam Jen Rolam Benje Sanjen Ro Barajo Let me remind all of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the altruistic motivation or the bodhicitta motivation seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of at least contrived bodhicitta motivation, we should participate in this discourse on Bodhisattva's way of life.
Penda Lendon Kanyan Bati, Nawana, Majul Liber Sheva, Shanju Semba, Meju, Dinamon go to any singing Gide Kansa, Cheva Shea.
We are on page 8 of this English translation by Stephen Batchelor's, published by the Tibetan Library in India. And we stopped at stanza number 30, which we already talked about last week. The next stanza, 31, reads, if whoever repays a kind deed is worthy of some praise, then what need is to mention the Bodhisattva who does good without its being asked of him or her. Period. So as Geshe explained, that so last time we focused on exploring and discussing the benefits of cultivating a fully awakened mind or bodhicitta in one's own mind stream. And so now we are going to talk about the qualities of individuals or those who have cultivated bodhicitta within themselves. And so it starts off with verse stanza number 31.
Simji Jude Kansa Shia Shivala, Simba Simji Shia Shia, Penda, Lendu so de Tela, no show the Tembane. I do it Yam Tabi, Cap de Burus, Penda Bala. She did all said the teas Penda, so she land of a kind, but tell a young Jidan Dene. Shiva Shishin, Tidse, Jibula, Jibu Yaravin, Rishi, there, Tomoranga over Yina. Not Penda also you go and teach and amazing. Pendo, switch on sword as Bajuyam. Teaching Rigdan Deva, Namne, Ranshi, Ninjabula. So beyond that, and never Yeji, Cherry, Ninjabuni, ye omit Chonese, Penda, Land, Nami so Kone, Deva Mera, Simjetam Jil, Yering, Yambajidu, the Dene, Liber Pendo by Dohi, Dekam Bashila, Chiva Shiva, Shajusim Bakoni, but Tedane, Doha Jeva, Tamji, Chichi. No, but music was Tibetan over Masi Shouju Soldier shows here those that call you did it. Titan and Gaden, that was a Chijoka in a pop and I did you the pen was so the Shia Gaden looks good as your was it that on the Pendo paper Tibjadam. But the day teen so I tell ya, and Yagos in you, Gayu. In the Shonjus about the Delia, Pentaros and your Mari, such a good girl, Mari, and Pesuatam Gayomari, Sina Simjetam, Yerishatam Meva, Simjeta Saji Gomo, Kaje, said the Nime Dewata, and Jawashima, Dendro, and Sanji side. Naji mother for the Dewa could summer fiction with the years of. But this way. But the I tell you, I need because the Shishi turns out the engine when you go race water.
Geshe-la's explanation on stanza 31 is that, in general, when we are in need of help, say we are poor, we don't have much, if somebody shows some kindness, right, and helps us at that time, maybe the person helps us with some expectations we don't know, but even then, right, we are very grateful to that person, and we praise such individuals, right? Wow, this individual is so kind, right? They try to help people, at the time of their needs, and we obviously want to repay their kindness, when we are capable of doing that. Even such individuals we feel deserve our praise. If that is so, then what need is there to say that the bodhisattvas deserve all the praises from us? Because bodhisattvas are individuals who, out of their own willingness, altruism, they help sentient beings, try to help sentient beings find temporary happiness and well-being, as well as wish all sentient beings to be in the state of complete enlightenment, without expecting anything in return. Okay? Bodhisattvas have no agenda there. They just out of willingness, nobody required them to help, nobody forced them to help, nobody obligated them to help. Even we don't have to ask them for help, but out of their own volition, out of their own altruism, they dedicate themselves for the well-being of us sentient beings. Then how much more praises and honor do they deserve from us? Certainly they do, right? When somebody helps you unconditionally, like bodhisattvas, they certainly deserve all the praises from us. Yes.
소소 편도 생기게 다주 생기 지다를 세워로
No.
디게셔 다 가지
No.
심제되게 편도 다주 생기 손자 디나 지다나 쇼지와 처우什么都这样是그래서는 유멤버 저 용시 대 야자소 정도체 에디 제와 흥실라 진짜 제 멤버 론다 뒤지 소예 소je 갑 난마데 유벌 농주 카시 페바점 요리 때려왔던 뒤 멤버 뒤 탐지대 멤버 깨지대 유통에서 질라서 요즘 멤버 구리소je 용 은비차는 버지양 매버 세지부터 집어시에봤던 요 멤버 그바다 그때도 지금 매버서 농도소真的 예고네 제기능도 녹디 쪽내서 예행 토사버시에봤던 제베서 편도숑 멤버 인제 점점버 시베 예다더라양 데니 개와셔버시와 이노시 직den지 규드메스 되지 고고바이나 유제셔와 심제 정미 정서 세메바 점 세더듬시 소드메베스 타이바 나라스 두세메바 유릉보 세바시 제기파두스 인제고보 체바제 대화식이 제 사바메베 대화라는메바 때르힘 편도 체바제 니랑랑게 이라 컨섭이 오버데 동탄지 동탄 저와 시바라 삼절 체바제 다도 제힘 그라 세냐바마 제베 임바셰베 진다 셰부 소주스바 남tö지 고위바스 다지 셔모고 셰바고스 디레 다가제 너도 당시 부을 방예져서 디레 미히디 로조디 방예스레 다 방복에 다니 카와테야저로 어디 빼셔로 셰다 디레 롬조도디 동게 디레 지게네 미 뭐버버다 정 할레나 애들 저저는 유스비자 하려 동자에 돌아라 유지바라 어디 정제 롱버 디레 미직 디레스 진짜 미직 라이는 미트솔리아 에네 편도 가르치거든 편도 데다 뒤유를 보면 봐 대 니마제가 그 또된 뒤직 저네 뒤 또된 집어 대야베 거야야 저 매바 셴네 난매 소와서는 그래 다 소와 남지 균도 서러와서 균도 대자 쩨니 제메 뭐 디레 쩨니 인데야 부jap도 셴데 야보 뭐지 뭐시데 인데 방고세 상가자 깨자 좀 쉬어서 그래서 정동동 그것이 이제 직접 마셔 뇌셔데 인데 우주로 시도 어디 또는 직 세 니마지 디데스테니 인데 세 코로나샤니 이제 동사가 유기차지 융융 인데 세 탭자 나메시 인데 조아도 조아 잡고 베냐보 만지 쇼데 헤세야도 디레산 메시데 카둥스둥시 되시도 정원도시 되시도 어때야 디레데 시베이나 딜야베 진다 시부인스 때라던 거라 하시고 그래서 다들 쇼주스바드 심제담지 에 동세 율 심제담지 장을 체메가시 근데 동세 다 대화 주샤도 사디네 체들이 님이 체를 껴와셔본 것도 유바스운데 상예 거부터 디데지 살고야 대화 셔부들 고야 성로도 대화 켜버지 쇼지로 와서 와래 어제다 디데지 송 시기에서 아니 직대나야 니마지 또 대생시 때 들라야 또 주고 뭐 이제야 대장도야 등섬이 디바시는 야 지기론스 그래 길라에다는 또 지때 양 두고 저 아조도 되게도 와 디데 매어서 가게 매 또시 주고 뭐 두고 되게요 말어 네네 디데지 때네 쉬어래는 제가 저주스바도 스리타지요 디데 사세들이 니 세링님이 세디 겨와시 뭔도시 이 사진 보면 더 버디 고약 되게 애들 저와 쳐버 시기 여상 제가 배 가지 쳐버 가지 맞는 가지 세고 그랬어. 학부도 찍고 그랬어 왔다.
We are on page 9, top of the page, stanzas 32 and 33 read, "The world honors as virtuous a man who sometimes gives a little plain food disrespectfully to a few beings that satisfies them for only half a day. What need be said then of one who eternally bestows the peerless bliss of the Sugathas upon limitless numbers of beings, thereby fulfilling all their hopes." Period. So in those two stanzas, we find a kind of comparative analysis and examples, just to demonstrate the point that Bodhisattvas who are dedicated for the well-being of sentient beings deserve all our respect, honor, and praises. Yeah. So in the first stanza, there's an example given, which is, as Geshe explained, of course, based upon the commentary he's using, the example is from Tibetan, from Tibetan life experiences. That is like when someone dies, then usually we would like to feed the homeless, rather poor, and in which case, it's just a limited number of homeless we can feed, right? There could be 10, 15, 20, 100, or 1,000. We probably can't feed more than 1,000, so if we serve them, just plain food, regular food, nothing special, no buffet here. It's just plain food that satisfies them only for half a day. Okay, and but when we give them, of course, many homeless, they don't necessarily behave well, right? Then we might even scold them, like, "Can you just sit down and keep quiet and just shut up?" We didn't say that, but anyway. Yeah? So we kind of even not very respectful to them, right? We're just kind of scolding them. At the same time, we're just giving them food, and we don't do it out of respect for them. Even when we do such things, people acknowledge our kind of generosity, like, "Wow, this family, isn't that wonderful? This family, feeds the poor, right, and the needy." And it is as if, such an act deserves some kind of praise and, honor. Okay? If that's the case, then Bodhisattvas obviously deserve all the praises in the world and honor from us. The reason for that is Bodhisattvas, they have the best of intention for sentient beings without anybody requiring them to be as such. They have the great compassion and great love for sentient beings, and they wish sentient beings to find both temporary happiness and ultimate happiness. So they do anything they can to provide the temporary happiness and well-being of sentient beings, guiding them to find happy rebirths and find, mundane happiness. But eventually they wish to guide all sentient beings to the state of complete enlightenment. Right? That's what they wish. And they are dedicated for the well-being of infinite number of sentient beings. It's not 10 or 15 or 100,000 or 10,000. It's all sentient beings, So that's, something very special that Bodhisattvas have dedicated their life for, and they certainly deserve our respect, honor, praises, for who they are and what they are doing for sentient beings without being asked of them to do it, right? So that's the comparative analysis and the examples given by Shantideva in his Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life.
Jimba Shaw, Titon, Sim Mijawa, the Shevan, Dog Lunde, young Simja Taji, là gì dùng được tôi nói chỉ là gì ngô nó ta chỉ một gì xem chơi kháng là chết được chỉ cái bảo sự do thế đó chỉ nó hiểu số đó yang nó rong cái lạc bắt này sẽ ngô số chỉ bảo tôi nói chỉ là gì nổi đồng rồi đó sai đó đó ngô số bảo ta chỉ bảo thế đó ta chỉ bảo gì sao số bảo ta yên là chưa yang đó bảo điều bài yang sẽ Jin ba de sim je na ne ba dang phu mo yo de mo to ba xiao ju sen ba da sim je na la sim me ji ko ye me ba de ni xiao ju sen ba na ji dong a xie xiu xie dang shi wo de za de ko xiao ju sen do de da de re da ali no lu ju fa xiu so zo en da za xie yu de so zo lu de so se da za xie yu na de wa xie de lu de ne 류 소를 마대고 애들 골라봐 가르쳐 주는 애들 뒤에서 가가 애들 그래 값을 파는 애들 난거 그래서 그 값을 하면 돼요 골라면서 냠술이게서 디델 골라봐대는 돌아도 거와 그래서 고군의 장상 진반 좀 듣다니 뒤에는 들어야 애들 비게 돈이 지다 가서 돈이 거는 너야 더도 총으로 되게 누구한테 마도 시 저주세에 가서 때게서나 아니 저주세에 야 해를 메데 버디테면서 요 말이지 티 메베 유제 가서나 럭 애니 류룽주 가서 고를 락바 가가가 소 뇌도 시위자 아니 지당 GDP에 노르베 생물라서도 아jan샤르 바시 뭐시 디데서나 가서 셰데 저주세마디 가서 진다 초인사 되지 근데 Kita pevada shena ta kaya uze je me masha jibata do je me ya te maro.
So in the commentary, that's reference in Tibetan which says the best or the supreme benefactors. That refers to the bodhisattvas. Right, the ordinary benefactors, some are very nice, kind, and when they help others, they give, maybe new things or all of that. But many people, right, they tend to give others what they don't use or they don't find it useful, right? So, but that's anyway another storyline there. But bodhisattvas are not like that. Bodhisattvas, they really dedicate everything they have for sentient beings. Of course, whatever resources they have, and that could be helpful to sentient beings. Bodhisattvas are willing to do that. But even they go to the extent of sacrificing themselves, their life and body, if need be, right? If the circumstances is right, then they even, give parts of their body, their whole life to benefit sentient beings. Of course, if somebody is trying to test the bodhisattva or with some hidden agenda, well, then they're not stupid, right? Geshe didn't say that. I have to say that. They're not stupid to sacrifice themselves. They don't. Otherwise, if they see under the given circumstances, by kind of giving parts of their body or donating parts of their body or even giving their whole life, it really matters for the others. They are willing to do that. This is how much bodhisattvas care about sentient beings and dedicate it for the well-being of us sentient beings. So therefore, bodhisattvas deserve our utmost respect, and we should be utmost grateful to the bodhisattvas. There is almost nothing that bodhisattvas don't want to give to sentient beings. There are some limitations. For example, if somebody asks for poison because, somebody wants to die, well, they don't give poison to you. Or if somebody wants a weapon to kill himself or herself, well, bodhisattvas cannot give that. But other than that, those few restrictions, bodhisattvas, if they see there is benefit in giving what the sentient beings are asking for or not even asking for, bodhisattvas willingly give everything they have, their resources, even their body, life, and dedicate their merits for the well-being of sentient beings.
我的在城市什么激荡是呢？我的是城市人注意呢，说出来也修那么从下上去我基本动手嘛这些。我基本都觉得现在修那是特别呢，在这边没得刚刚动手，但修那是下上去基本动手嘛这些。我的激荡是呢，在我就说绿色嘛，对对东亚的是这个对吧？ 디디다 레 탐보 게제레다 야 사토니 에 공중신 디데 파파 나데 가면서 디데 온토네데 엔다 시야시다가 뭐라 단다 레 탐보 온 치워라 어디게세 시야도 쉬고나서 뭐도 신 누야 총도 독도부터 엔 소소 쉬고나서 뭐도 그거 증거리스 다 도대 진제 저주심베 류도 롱주다 현라 미지바니 용매도스 펜도 나바인지 희민시 냠버진베스 용대 문민주 예송데스 냠버제바는 라즈무고 아세 너네 요네 요네 담발라 동 푸스다시 메모오시바 딸때 문담바 냠버지모스 호텔다 간제 지도시된 가서다 지바동 유텔이야 에네 그래서와 유체바 페용시야다 가서 주어가 가서 고발 냠바시야라야데 엔라마 수도 파마데 저절이야 개와신 페용시야다 지당 에네 페바 현다 총요다 지바동의 일 페용시중도 요래디 근데 정유습에 되게 표현 다음에 표현 시설 다운 충살 가시 되게 지금 말이지. 강가 냠바지 동고 그래서 나는 있었다. 제가 되게 다 정유습에 그때는 건조 남이 저와는 당연히나. 표현 시설에 당겨라다. 네. 어찌라도 지고.
So the things we have been talking about the sacrifices and the dedication for the well-being of all others, we're talking about ordinary bodhisattvas. Yeah? So there are only few restrictions. Other than that, bodhisattvas, if they see the benefit and the need, they can give everything, including their body and their life for the well-being of sentient beings. The few things, as we said, is that if somebody asks that, okay, I want to kill myself, give me a poison or give me a knife or a gun, those examples are not specifically given, but gun is a weapon, bodhisattvas cannot give. Yeah. Other than that, and in the case of monastic bodhisattvas or the ordained bodhisattvas, they must give a complete set of 3 robes for themselves. But if they have an extra robe, they should give. But they cannot give their own personal set of 3 robes to others. That's one limitation there. Other than that, they could and they do give everything for the benefit of sentient beings. Now, in the case of Arya Bodhisattvas, now that's another level, like transcendental Bodhisattvas. So they could do much more, as a matter of fact. So as Geshe explained, that Bodhisattvas really treat everybody equally in terms of benefiting them. For example, in terms of generosity, like say, those of us maybe who have some expectations in return, right? We might, make certain choices for ourselves. For example, we learn in the Buddhist literature that if you want to accumulate more merit, then to whom you give you make offerings, that will make a difference. So therefore, if we make offerings to the gurus, because guru is the field of merit, we are going to earn more merit, right? And if we help our parents who have been very kind to us, that's more merit, because of who they are. So we might choose to make offerings to the gurus and the parents, right? But we might be a bit of negligent about helping all others. But Bodhisattvas don't do that because they have no expectation of anything in return, right? They are willing to practice generosity or, make offerings or give stuff or things to one and all, right? Because they don't have any expectations in return, right? Oh, if I do this, I'm going to get more merit. If I do this, I have less merit. They have no calculation here, going on. Yes.
편도 힘쇼데 만에서 다들 비게 가서 편당의 들려내네 배 리브 손도 쉬부터야 어다 디바사나 디바테 직선 디베 땡상 쳔보셔야 뭐 땡쇼 저 저주세 발에 but train any hibu give a giant that Karsa. Give out those Sabaya say, Courage of Siati, Geshe or Tigre. Tendularishamuno, Medici Karsa, Jidi, Takosa Rango, Be, you think I got to be a big tone today. She shall live. So you say, but Chilia, and that children got the inside part, because attack means job long the tip, the Basher,
I don't know, so.
The make long ship get Gaga, make the deba serve, show you so much in the Tivashin, not what you know, the paying shares.
No, so.
Lorena, do
No,
I?
so.
This or see what that.
No, so.
Pinu King Chavas in Sadi.
No, so. As we learned from treatises on the stages of the path, enlightenment, we call lamrim in Tibetan, stages of the path, that, when we engage in the practice, of course, obviously, we often think about what would make, much greater difference in terms of accumulating merit or progress on the path, things like that. And so, therefore, we learn that, if we make offerings or if we render service to gurus or bodhisattvas, such service and offerings are much more meritorious than if we make offerings and render service to, any other individuals who are not gurus or who are not bodhisattvas. Okay? So understanding those differences, we might make our own choice, right, for accumulating more merit, things like that. For example, in the lamrim, it is one of the examples given, as Geshe told here, is that if, let's say, there are innumerable blind people, somehow we help to them to gain sight. That's amazing deed, isn't it? A very meritorious action. But in the lamrim, it said that as compared to that, if just we make offering to one bodhisattva, the real bodhisattva, that making offering is much more meritorious than helping so many blind people to gain sight. Yeah, this is because of bodhisattvas is a field of merit, who he or she is, so like that.
What is it? That did Karjana? Simju Lumbogang, yes, Mama Tabi. Yondan the Tindavi, yes, Pendi, Novata, Jimba Shebi, Jinda Shebalana, La, Dido Samba the Shebi, Mosu, Lunga, Nova Sheba, that short. Get the chorus of your long days, go and dip do it down. Never Shindu, in some the Jeba Sheba tea, dig was some, dig was out Shebu Yindi, Ninsa Jebi, Gejigi, Chongchi Yeba said. Tea, Chongshi Tawa Shin, Gavane, Kong Daniel Nyamba. The Nami Ba Soji, Yawa Dungan Shembo, Meseba Nyongi, never Jor, Sheshawa, Tuba Shebu, Songde, Radi Shiva number Angeva, shooting Dole, Jambe Simjing. Jambe Shaju Simba, Sebe Shaju Simba, Control, Neves be Simjin, Dinike, Simjin, Yawan Nevas, Kojak Goa Show, Jambe Simjin, Jambe Shaju Simba, Goataba, Moto Shaju Simba, the Hien Kong, Jang, Lover, Don Simon, so Jambe Deta depend on Nobu Rumbushi. Doje Rumbuchi, Doje Ni Madoba, Hingam, Hingam, Puadam, Yuba Doso, Sonze Shawa Minuso, Jambe, Tishan, Shanju Simba Yang, Shanju Simba and Guata Madopa, Le Shenji say. Loboto Shimon, so here song so they didn't tell that because Conje this was a Jambi tell the what this is the Radu Minu Shodin Dol this song workers. Choju symbol because that don't you have to carry or Teresa Karsa. 디데가 야 서유 심발 트야 디데가 연대 되는 마 냠저 아마도 디 뭐에 현다 되는 연대도 냠토 말이지 와다 컨시데레 초 대비 심제와 된지 심진요 아카사 요 있나와 저 조로 라디 시와 나방이 돌레 잡에 컨트롤 냐비 께 디니 심진 녀와 넘버 코 저거 샤오 시 거기 다 고자고 세도단들이 근데 다 로직이야 통음도 도는 디데 실습을 디데 스텝이나 근데 그 상로디까지 가지 버네 디지게는 그 요소 사바상도 내가 소디게 초라도 편도 벌써 다 다 선을 내내 가서 통통게도 이나 상이나 통게나 디까지 가지 깨지 디가 파잖아 이거 시주적이지 다 뒤자 맞에 내 신이 가르서 나는 녀도 그러지 누구니 시도와 어디서 라디오 남방이 돌대로 송자시 고자고 되지 가서 내가 고자고서 되래 가지 당연히 가지 내가 가지 시게 네가 초라도 내가 사와시고 다 가지 내가 랭게는 내가 니만 인간 레디 에 주다 공다도 막 키켜 뒤서 차도 우다 키는 사와킨 지거라 어디 신의 고자고서 되래 다 뒤지고 지고 와시 뒤가는 신의 녀도 그래서 어디 Rad Navangeli Shage Dosia di Sunya Tiredoa Tire Das Otiche didn't jambi pero no bushes Tada Doja Pound no Ishi on Josa de Mero Otili in a him the doping with the 2 lots and new Maris Redo Jabi did a pen and no bushes Dorjee ni modo ba le timur nobu de da Dorjee phang la ki go imbe Dorjee phang mo de hing de bo do de sheda ko ne wa san su ma ri si o tin na yi da da di shaju sima do da chi de shaju simba le bi da to da di ba sa wi na ene te ko ni so ja ti sha ri si ma to yi sheda sim ji phe ba do de yi sheda de ne in the Shantideva never show young to Marish with this one.
Taking changes of non pinjul turnus go with that.
La
Changes Sambachik, changes symbol turnus go.
what is it?
No, it's non pinjul.
But the Chosa de got that he go to the Shantideva Choa. Shantideva Maiba Choa, she young top share Choa, the car she shall do.
The Tachina, changes Sambachik, changes Sambachik, Choa, and that's about to make it a matter.
Shantideva Choa.
To make it a message, that's a use of we are on page 9 and stanza number 34 reads, the Buddha has said that whoever bears an evil thought against a benefactor such as that Bodhisattva will remain in hell for as many eons as there were evil thoughts. That's how it has been translated. So based upon the commentary that Geshe is using here, that's why I double-checked it, right, so that I heard it right. The explanation says here, just like before we talked about how, if you think of something positive and do something positive in regard to Bodhisattva, because of Bodhisattva, who he is or she is, right, that action is going to be a very powerful action, okay, in a positive way. The same goes with the negativity. If we think negatively about a bodhisattva or do something negative in regard to bodhisattva, that negativity is also going to be very detrimental, right? That's the contention here. Okay? Now, the explanation Geshe has given based on his commentary reading is this, that bodhisattvas are dedicated for the well-being of sentient beings, the temporary happiness, the ultimate happiness, willingly give everything, nothing is expected in return. So this is how bodhisattvas are. So it looks like there is not many things that can harm the bodhisattvas, right? However, should a bodhisattva, gets upset or angry with another bodhisattva, that's going to be detrimental, okay? So that's the explanation, part of the commentary on stanza number 34, right? Where it says that whoever bears, right? It's not whoever bears, right? According to the commentary Geshe has, if a bodhisattva gets mad with another bodhisattva, so we're talking about two bodhisattvas, right? Now, we're not talking about a bodhisattva getting mad with somebody who is not a bodhisattva, or somebody who is not a bodhisattva getting mad with a bodhisattva. We're not talking about that right now. We're just talking about a bodhisattva, for whatever reason, maybe hypothetically speaking, perhaps, gets mad with another bodhisattva. That's going to be a very detrimental thing. And it's detrimental in two ways. One way, right, it can postpone the attainment of their enlightenment. And another way, that it could precipitate their rebirth in the bad migrations. So it's detrimental in two senses here. And if you go through the stanza, which says that equal to the moments of anger directed towards another bodhisattva, right? Equal to those many moments, bodhisattva might have to suffer for eons in a hell. Yeah? So therefore, how should I say? That's the kind of thing that can harm bodhisattvas. The example given to prove that is there's a special kind of a jewel that could only be harmed by a special diamond, Dorjee. Yeah? But if you use a stick or a stone or something to break that jewel, nothing is going to happen to that jewel. Yeah? So in the same way, if bodhisattvas, hypothetically speaking, I'm thinking, gets upset with an ordinary person, it's not going to be that detrimental. It's not like you're using the stick to break the jewel. Yeah? But if a bodhisattva does get mad with another bodhisattva, then it is like a diamond that can harm the jewel. So it's like that, then that becomes very detrimental for that bodhisattva in two ways. Number one, if that bodhisattva is going to be enlightened, let's say tomorrow, well, it will be postponed, right? You have to redo the whole thing. And it kind of postpones your enlightenment attainment. And number two, that there's a possibility that you may go into bad migrations. Yes.
So that daging is long the day do what is it? Because it is that the dog did do and gone to that sit on the Sokja non that comes from none in the Sanjay big Zasha of the Todd, Yonisha Yomaros. Must tea and yes, charge on that to Zogal in the New York they touch him to us. In Shojus about the yoga caress, you know. But that tell you, don't you Geshe said, Geshe said, very curse. 나는 샤 누고아 시중로 주세요. 저기 조준 좋아하고 자용은 야 체제사를 찍어서 되시세요. 어디나래 이 저주서만 다 가서 상계링에서 차시오는서 다 이 샤도 세마서 저 통동리스. 그래서 상계대 조가가 뭐 연대탄수 조사다 들야 용야다 뒤에서야 말이 뒤 장로를 찌다다 뒤 너도 티바 멤버로서는 이 동시에 지도 시드니에 남주 로와 뒤다다 티바 세불로고시는 장동리스. 어디지와 뒤에서 차주들요 말이스. 다 저주선발 지는 가르에서는 상계서가 저주선발이 총명인데 아니 저주선발 대신도 상계도 저주선발 강가를 내바시바 누구리스. 뒤찬시에다 있는 저주선발 내바시바 뒤에 해다 잡셔버리기리스. 어디게 뒤에서 뒤에 가르에서는 뒤 제배 또 제 상계도를 송야서리. 거기 게스 표현이지. 거기 심지 몇 가지 표현인데 조주지대 감당지 이제 이제 심지어든지 종라 좋네. 종을 좀 빨리 이제 저기 뭐를 거가지 그걸 표현이 현주세 발라시 잡지 쇼데세 돈 머름 달라세 메타오시 센데니 네 대에세 딕바치 체 정매 제도 제베 리조리 보면 칸라라시게 자불랭기 심제답지게 도바탐지 초와에 세다가 현주세바 세다부 거야노만 메는데네 대에세 체디바 처음에 제도 세동사 데레다 거제 미지 지대 감사지 뭐가 쫑라 주벌레 제 현주세바 찍라 인다 철베 nga big to tagmes diablos kapalosi o tu chevina o te dibashao risora ta ta na yen zamling sibje ga dogbas da juno lu ganga chowale sharuso ka no menos da pe jongje barwa o te dibash changmi ba jedo shedan se ta tinde karsa 지디 심제 탐지 이게 유노는 강가 초월이 hiện 심제 배박에 이 저주서 받지려야 아니 용시 뒤에 매와 땅에 어디 디바시에 송자시
괜찮다. 냐만데 디스카나메 괜찮다. 가서라다 대신 셔발은 예선 차충배이나 로바게
라
대신 셔발은 예선 차충배이나 디기 냐와를 제거를 스타젠을 라면도 왔어. 라르게
디 냐와 제거에서는 the mixing you some wa.
Hello. I'll deal with the same Chanju symbol, then Yawa Kesha the Karas for
Karsa, Shin Koja go, Shin Koja go, Masile, Newa Jews, Songdua, no. Says the you charge on the Newa Jagos, the Mrs.
Mendoza, no. Says I the Karin is to do Galata, and say, 태과 챔ber기 제베나 대신 샤벌에서 차충하고 요마를 꼭 깨제도 장도를 했어 버로게. 태과 챔ber 제베나 대신 샤벌에서 차충에 요마 디키.
this 장도로 디기방에 차충.
좋아요. 저는 야바 얘기 저거 셰 요마를 꼭 요마 버려.
노사로. 다티고 토모지는데 디케자지요.
No. Just trying to make sure that I understand because Geshe is reading from the text and sometimes I don't read the text so I don't know what actually is happening there, half of those. So this is it. I'm referring to a sutra in the commentary. It says that I think some scholar, because we have this kind of critical points being raised in this whole commentary. They said that when someone, we call it intentionally shed blood from the body of a Tathagata, that's another way of saying an enlightened being. Okay? That's a very negative, detrimental action, karma, as we know. But nowhere it is said that such an action will lead you to the hell. Are you with me so far? Yeah. Whereas, in this particular text, which we just talked about, that if a bodhisattva were to get mad with another bodhisattva, it has two results. One is it can postpone your realization. Another one is that it could lead you to hell, all the bad migrations. Okay? So how come that a bodhisattva getting mad with another bodhisattva seems to be much more serious than intentionally shedding a blood from the body of a Tathagata, right? So that's the kind of a point being raised in the commentary. So how to explain that? So I was double checking that. So that's how it is actually said there. And so according to Geshe, because we always try to look at things often from different perspectives, from the Theravadan perspective, okay, traditionally called Hinayana perspective. Now I know many people don't like Hinayana, so Theravadan perspective, and from Mahayana perspective. Okay, according to Therayana perspective, if some were to shed blood from the body of a Tathagata or a Buddha, right, that is so detrimental that you could, it will lead you to the hell. Okay, they will accept it literally as it is stated in a text. Okay, whereas according to Mahayana perspective, looking at the same statement, they said, that is an interpretable discourse. That is not a definitive discourse. Right? The Tibetan word that is interpretive discourse means changden, something that cannot be taken literally as it is. It requires reasonable interpretation. Okay? And so that is not a definitive statement. You cannot take the statement at its face value as it is written. Okay? The reason for that, from Mahayana perspective, is it's impossible to intentionally shed the blood from the body of a Tathagata. Okay? Because that's an impossible task. So then how can you say that such a task or an action could lead to hell? Because that is an impossible outcome. So that's the, I think, point of contention there. Whereas, a bodhisattva is a real, right? Bodhisattva is highly praised in the bodhisattva discourses, sometimes more than the Buddhas. Why? Because Buddhas are, outcome of the bodhisattvas. Right? First you become bodhisattva, and then bodhisattva eventually become Buddhas. So in that process, Buddhas are born from bodhisattvas, isn't it? So if we do anything good or bad to the bodhisattvas, it is same as doing not only good and bad to the bodhisattvas, but also to the Buddhas as well, because these are the future Buddhas. Yeah, so therefore, if a bodhisattva gets mad with another bodhisattva, that's a negative thing. It's not only like, you accumulate negativity with regard to that bodhisattva, because that bodhisattva will eventually become Buddha, so it is as if, so your negativity is counted almost like toys, right? It is directed towards the bodhisattva and the future Buddha. So therefore, that kind of a negativity is very detrimental, and therefore it is stated in the bodhisattva discourse that such a negativity can lead to hell,
rik tamje to shangshu semba la tamba maye ba chena sanje tamje tamba maye shiba joro shangshu semba tamba maye chena sanje tamje tamba maye shiba joro she song so sta di da ji je de ja ka se re yi ba ka je je ka la yi che de ka ga lo ge shima de ka ga lo so ji da ja zu meng ba ka ji ja zu de yi tang de ja bi she de de mel sig na da ye lo wi de xi ba le in the Chaujusa Bajir Pejojo Revishene, Jevas and the Jevas and Jegas and the Total Surva.
No, so.
Kaji Totum down direct Shavina, what did the Bashayus? The Kades and in the Sanje Ringsi to children to Gaga, Kanation, Tomo Chaujusa Bashum or Chaujusa saw Sanje, still saw you Ringsi to him in Yunjura. She the thought of God to the Chaujusa.
No, sir.
But that you did reflect you.
So we're here talking about any good or bad action and thought directed towards a bodhisattva is going to be very powerful as compared to directing the same thoughts and actions towards ordinary people, right? That is the contention of the point, right? That you don't want to lose that point. Otherwise, things won't make any sense as we continue our discussion here. So something I left from the previous explanation, which goes well with the one just given, is this, that if, hypothetically speaking, we could catch all the humans in the world and put them behind the bar, well, that's a terrible thing, right? Negativity. But as compared to that, if we belittle just one authentic bodhisattva, real bodhisattva, that belittling is much more detrimental karma than putting all the human beings behind the bar. See, that is the example given. Another example given is that if we rob all the humans of their resources and wealth, the bank balance and everything, as compared to that negativity, if we badmouth a bodhisattva, just one bodhisattva, that bad-mouthing is going to be much more detrimental negative karma than robbing of the whole world. Okay? Now, the next explanation given is, if we destroy stupas are holy structures, as you know, equal to the sand grains of the great ocean, that's many, right? As compared to that kind of destruction, if we, look down upon and we scold a bodhisattva, that scolding is going to be much more detrimental karma than destroying, so many stupas. Why? The reason, why is the rationale behind this is because, bodhisattva seems to be the source of enlightenment, isn't it? Right? How does one become a Buddha? Well, first you have to find a way to become a bodhisattva. If you never become a bodhisattva, you will never become a Buddha, right? So when we attach so much importance and respect and honor to Buddha, right? When Buddha passes away, then we preserve the relics of Buddhas in the stupas, right? We make offerings to that. Why all of these things are so precious? If you're going to trace the origin of the root, it all comes down to bodhisattvas, right? Therefore, bodhisattva seems to be the source, the root of all enlightenment. And so therefore, anything we do to bodhisattvas, good and bad, become very powerful, thoughts and actions.
What is it? Karsa, Tin Digbe Hingams, never hing short the temple was that the head there, Karsan, shows you somebody, the Bassa hing to you the rivers. Which is that this year that tells you somebody to the king said, what they have was on that tells you somebody like Karsa, to the device you just said that the training is a medicine. I think loves out of the WTC with the Karsa. The music loves at your because Simja don't be the Gyeltsen. Simja Gary in the bed, top and the Gyeltsen, and the call trail 70 Shivjima. No. But take down carry out of the easy water. No, so. Because Simja don't want the Mare, the Kotam and the Gyeltsen, and the Koduja, some of the Homa. No, so. But this is because that is to get here, that doctor. So land of give this or that because Shedalia, Kodosia, the Tidung of the Tonsu here, the what to get new down to so. The Karta Shawis and Bakar Korea Mishibe, and it's 2 de la Karsa. Subs. Here will be looking and the Hind Saber shows, Namjan and the Riera. No, so. What's the purpose of talking about all these comparisons? Why any thoughts and actions directed towards a bodhisattva become such an extremely powerful thought and action is because of the importance of bodhisattvas, in the scheme of all the things, even when we strive for enlightenment. Without becoming bodhisattvas, there is no enlightenment. So all the qualities of the enlightenment we talk about, when we trace the origins of the root, they all come down to bodhisattvas. So therefore, we should learn to respect and cherish and honor bodhisattvas and make sure that we don't have any negative thought or any
do anything negative directed towards bodhisattvas, because that's going to be, very detrimental thought and action. And so we have to find a way to stop such tremendously negative thought and action. And how do we do that? As Geshe said, maybe it's related to one of the precepts or advices concerning aspirational bodhicitta, aspiring bodhicitta, where we are taught that if we learn to regard as if all sentient beings are Buddhas, we know all sentient beings are not Buddhas, right? But as if we have that much regard for all sentient beings, then we will never belittle anyone, right? Because the fact of the matter is we don't know who is who, meaning we don't know who is Bodhisattva, who is not Bodhisattva. Yeah? And if we happen to have a bad attitude and bad thought and bad action towards a Bodhisattva, well, there it goes. Okay? And as Geshe quoted from Pramana Vartika text, a valid cognition, where it says that, one does not know who is a bodhisattva or who is not bodhisattva. Therefore, as a prevention practice, strategy, we should always be mindful and regard others as if they are, right? They're enlightened beings or something. We have to really, just like we have to be very careful not to fall into a fire pit, right? Because that can kill you. In the same way, we should be very mindful of our thought and action so that we do not, generate any negative thought and action directed towards bodhisattvas. Yeah. So that's the purpose why we discuss all these matters with different examples.
Oh, that's 인생이 차 인생이 리부트다 얘는 강사 강이 상승了심 당하게 봐도 손은 이제 시도 중심은 뭔데 시책감들이 매기 세워대 기불로데 대바거이 저주스버 이러도 더 건 대바게 봐시나 대바티 리부는 공디 시에비 인생이 리부티에죠 체하고 펴대 대베 떡지 깨지 신예와 대체 정매비 깨워 리부체버지 용조데 녀바도 망해면 집에 시작된 돌이 잡에 걔들 용수 따바 녀와송데 초주지대 감탐지 심재탐지 게 맥쇼아 졸라 용수 따바 녀와송데 러기보 갈라지 심재다 탐지 라 샴베 셈제 대다 맥 깨바에 잡에 러기보 건식기 티바샤볼에 미베 샤주스바 라 테베 셈제세 다는 데네 디세 소름시 정매바 제도스 잠베 러기보모 칸라 초주 심지 탐지 쫑라주 바 탐지 쫑라네 떤데 콜로제 돔 창반이 되어를 거바에 잠비 지디 러기보 칸라라 셰기 티바샤볼라 무바당 당외sem지에서 단도바르서 초징 단도바 조지 디가바양 주는 데네 데 소노시 정매 제바오 셰소 대신도 라드시와서 나방에베 톱 제발이 송비 샤게도소리 정 예발 송 데네 게벨 힝 너무 소노지 싱쇼도 템보 데 인수도 제베 예미 템비 고네 네 ponde 쪽바 샤위실 나마텐라 심타에 페요 템비 고네서 대바께도 쇼바 샤위실 시마테바 이노사 어다데레 간제 가르사 페타다 티이데 에네 그 샤주스발 템비 디바체부 샤 어다 디바 디네 마 가르선 에네 샤주스발 템비 디바사도 디바체부 유연다 에네 샤주스발 대바도 그바시는 가려고 그러서는 디페요데 디시워다 디가르선 데스도와 가르사 심지타지 미가지가 심지타지 맥도네 쪼라저혀 제게 가가야 동시에 맥가가 있네면 셰샤버디 신이 흡수 시나 그데스워 시발레 아니 정주스발 비게 가르사 대바시와的摩巴西瓦地我的所能下月的是，他那意思就是总上就这个样东西，可能就啊家心了什么的，我当时我恐怕了怪不了，城市什么地方是的培养下的是，他的眼嘛的一点他城市的比不用啊些，他的就嘛的乡村的呢，那所能讨厌的，对吧
？So we have talked about how detrimental it is to generate any negative thought or negative actions towards bodhisattvas. Okay? And but it's the same from positive perspective as well. If we do generate positive attitude or thought towards bodhisattva, that's going to be much more, meritorious than any other attitude positive that we generate. And I think it's likely to be related to the stanza number 35. And additional explanation based upon the commentary is that if we were to again help many blind to gain their sight, that's very virtuous action, no doubt about it. But as compared to that, if we develop a faith and admiration in a bodhisattva, that faith and admiration is much more powerful and meritorious action than helping many, blind people to gain their sight. Another example is given is that if we, somehow free all the prisoners in the world and somehow make them become, the universal monarch or the king, Chakravartin Rajas, who have so much power and influence, as compared to that kind of a merit, if we, develop faith and respect to a bodhisattva, right? That faith is much more meritorious action. So as we can see that from both positive and negative point of view, anything we do towards a bodhisattva becomes extremely powerful, thought and action.
What is it, Karsa? Said that I did the Kenya here go the Karsana in the Shajusibalia, Teva Janada, in the Teletan Pigeta, Karsa, Digba got the Misa Tonalia, Jomuruya, considered Tonalia Tishi, Karsa. Symptom appeared then be gone. Tivacuba, Cherry, Shantideva, that Jerusalem, any Tonan, the Divan, the yours, until you are in the same time, Tebas in the Kujashi, and a parent is yours. But teach you that he switch in the dark, it is good. Jerusalem, the consequence, solely in the Joma, Young on the Madi, any Yoden and Dakar Sudo. Cosa Shajusiba in the Mayako Marva. Set our tissue, Shajusiba in the bed, Jaja, set up here, Yong Siada, and the Tana Shetiani. That dig loves at the Carlegos or the Denego.
No, sir. So the whole purpose of going through today's examples and discourse is so that we are well informed, about the significance of our thought and action directed towards a bodhisattva, be it positive or negative, isn't it? And so we want to prevent generating any negative thoughts such as anger towards a bodhisattva, or that we can make effort to generate positive attitudes such as faith towards a bodhisattva, because it's very beneficial and meritorious. So this kind of a cost-benefit analysis, the modern version to say, will help us to make proper decision-making. So that, if we learn, as Geshe said, to develop pure perception of others, instead of finding faults in others, or always kind of a focus on the negativity, yagadi, right, as if nothing good is there, if we learn to look at things from positive angle and appreciate any good qualities in others, so that kind of pure perception and not poking our nose into others' business will prevent us from, generating negative thought or doing negative action towards the bodhisattva. As we said earlier, we don't know who is who. Okay? And Geshe Gyeltsen said, we have no excuse, right? So, oh, I didn't know who is a bodhisattva, so I kind of screwed up. No, well, you screwed up, right? Geshe Gyeltsen said. So because we don't know who is who, it's much better to have pure perception of others. Otherwise, we might accidentally think negatively or do something negative, and that happens to be bodhisattva, you are screwed up. No more excuse here. That's my footnote. No. So a lot of these things are also talked about in the Lamrim, Stages of the Path to Enlightenment treatises. And Geshe said that, many the long-term students and advanced students, you have already received, Lamrim teachings of the discourses. So you already know about a number of these things. Another related thing is when we talk about the karma of abandoning Dharma, that's a very serious karma. Okay? Like the karma of abandoning Dharma is, again, extremely negative karma. So we learn about these things so that we don't indulge ourselves in such action, So as Geshe recalled, that in the Lamrim somewhere, they said the great Indian master Atisha Dorjee, he's believed to have said that we should kind of talk about our own faults, but never talk about others' faults. Even if we know about them, just conceal them. The reason for that is, I think in the Vinaya monastic rules that if they happen to make a mistake, which is a fault, they should talk about it almost to another person or the public, like, I'm so sorry, I made that mistake. So by doing that, it helps you to purify your negativity or the fault. But if you conceal it, our own fault, then we can pretend looks like everything is fine, right? I'm still holy, kind of thing. Well, then that kind of adds more negativity to concealing the fault. So it's better to talk about it and, just purify it. Whereas it's none of our business to poke into others' faults. And even if we do know them, that's none of our business to talk about it. Just let it be, right? The word uses conceal means just let it be, That's their problem, so to speak. My second footnote. Not your problem. Yes. So now we reach a section where Geshe thought it would be better to stop here today, and we'll continue next Sunday, because now what he finds in the commentary is there's a lot of more distinctions made. Like say, if bodhisattva, if someone who's not bodhisattva, right, generates something negativity towards a bodhisattva, or bodhisattva for different levels, right, then there's all this, more distinctions are coming up, so we will better start that discussion next week. Now we will try to respond to your questions. Okay. So we have a couple of questions here. We'll go one by one. If we view every sentient being as a bodhisattva, then our offerings to anyone create the merit of giving to a bodhisattva, since we don't know who is a bodhisattva and who is an ordinary being. I like that question. Yeah. The condition is did it again. That I'm going to translate your 당나 차에다 대화 있어요. 다 되게 디 숨으로 와 가지고 전주 선바 수임에 하고 그 말로 와라 그렇게 삽섭적으로 와. 근데 이번에는 아주 샘제 탐제 전주 선바 다시 하나 이내면으로 와게. 다네 애니 가서다 샘제 탐제를 디당체 구르디체 근데 셰베 나로 와게. 디 선남데야 전주 선바를 애니 가서 디당 구르디체 선남 자기 말을 해서 가서 전주 선바 수임에 하고 그요 말로 와게. 제세도 가서 선남데야 아니 가서 지단 패발이야 지단 꾸디 채버 많이 봐 전주 선발 꾸디 채버 제 수고 말을 해서 다 수입하고요 말로 와.
대대 페이지 도고지 말아. 대대 가르서 가르시야 가르서는 그 전주 선발 대들 베게 초심 개원 삼는 타 등산의 가야 봐.
맞아.
그러와 다 지지 건데 됐어도 가르사.
맞다. 그게 티와드 베지 세부 좀 말게. 그게 관다 그게 티와드 세부 좀 그게 티와드 세부 주의해서 말해. 티와드 데르시게 다 되게 가지고 디 가서 다 예배선에 셔로 하게 다 상조는 셔나로 하게 샘제 탐제 전주 선발 다셔로 이내라 메네로 하게 아니 딜라 쳐바체 닝구르체 셔나로 하게 안 딘데 그 선남데 전주 선발 뭐 쳐바체 그 선남 차가 말을 해서 간서 수수인 방에서 하고 그 말을 해서 그렇게 선남데
알레 데도 차가 말이 대형 신코는 라리아 이제
그래서 이미 전주 선발을
전주 선발 다 디는 전주 선발 누구로 왔다 스미스 탐지 전주 선발 따나 다 디는 전주 선발 야로 와
이미 되는 거 차가
전주 선발 성도로 와 전주 선발 마차 전주 선발 많이 버데
차가 말 와. 노사.
이게 다디 시다 성도 더 그래디 디제 전주 선발 디시에 성도 더 말 와.
노사.
디 조조 가르서 전주 선발이야 정도 시험서 어디 가야 더 들라로 와.
노사.
스미스지 또 못다고
알레 노사. The first question, right? If we view every sentient being as a bodhisattva, then do our offerings to anyone create the merit of giving to a bodhisattva, since we don't know who is a bodhisattva and who is an ordinary being? Geshe said there is a nuance to this. That's a good way of perception, because if we see sentient beings as bodhisattva, right, that pure perception will prevent us from creating a lot of negativities. But if we make offerings, and if our offerings happens to go to a bodhisattva, we don't know who is, then in that case, we will earn the merit of offering to bodhisattvas. But most sentient beings are not bodhisattvas, so therefore, our merit is not necessarily going to be the merit of offering to bodhisattvas. That's the distinction, right, we're making. Okay? Second question, aren't all ordinary beings future bodhisattvas? So putting them behind bars should be far worse. This is again, the semjen 탐제 가사다 semjen 탐제인데 기부 탐해봐서 그러와게 탐해 상말로 마오베 전주 선바 창해로 와서 마오베 전주 선바로 와서게 근데 이베 왕도 다나 semjen 탐제 정강을 주고 있나 근데 네버침 시사가 말을 해서 그러게 다 되게 개빼 먹고 시거로 와 semjen 탐제 정강을 주고래 아니 가서 전주 선바 찍을 제발 네버체라고 와 다들 저 따기면 서문도 달라고 와 그러나서나 샘제 탐제다 전주 선바 마오베 전주 선바로 왔어. 전주 창해로 왔어 거로. 근데 임베 창에 샘제 탐제 정관을 주고 있나 아니 네바 심부시 사고 말을 다 전주 선바 정관을 주고 쓰고 그러다게. 그게 이제 장만 먹으면 돼 봐.
알지. 근데 다다 뒤로 다 가서 빼셔야 되는데 무분이지 요야 직시. 근데 딱 맞아서 그게 해야지 이인 거로 와.
그래.
그래서 스미다 송거 주셔야 돼. 딱 맞아서 해야 돼.
전주 선바 창.
시험에 있는 시거로.
그래서 semje 말관한테서 그 semje 탐제 마오베 전주 선바로 와서 그러게. 그래서 근데 찬에 semje 탐제 정관을 주고 있나 아니 네버침 부시 차고 말았다. 전주 선바 정관을 주면 네버침 말 쓰고 그러게.
스미 아래 되게 차고 말해. 나그 semje 정관 주셔야 돼. semje 패바 쓰고 그러와. 전주 선바 쓰고 말다. 진짜 semje 탐제 정관 전주 선바 뭐 semje 정관 주고래. 전주 선바 찍을 비게 강한 생각이신데 네버 셔야 돼. 디셔 와. 디셔 뭐도 영 semje 탐제 되게 전주 선바 계속 해 말.
담아라 관계에 리버 구성 담에 깨지면도. 가서 다기 딜라로 와게. 산제를 쳐버쳐버려 전주 선바 저 가서 전주 산제에 전주 선바를 끼버려 슬라버로 와. 네 건저 리버 구성 담에 섬으로 와게. 다 semje 탐제 자 정신바 창에 자 지샤로게 니 정하나 주변에 정신바 정하나 주변 예버 ঠিক 말을 쓰고 서로게
아니 제대 그다 다들 그 따져게 다다지다게 빼코라대야 그네 빼 ngol 신경이 빼대 봐라 그 따바서도 빼세요 빼들 뭐요 말이야
맞지 너래
어디 해야 돼 봐라
너
하장 가지다 빼 립tom 셔보도 자셔무게서 시고와
그렇죠
심지 탐지 정라도 다 힘 합디시도 항상 하지요 어디 빼시고로
no. So I'm trying to get as best I can your question clarified as best I understood Geshe-la. So the next question is, aren't all ordinary beings future bodhisattvas? So putting them behind bars should be far worse. Geshe-la said, well, that's not how we use the example. We compared putting all the ordinary, are all future bodhisattvas? Not really sure, right? That's a hypothetical thing, right? Maybe many will not. So that's a hypothetical situation there. Whereas when we say that bodhisattvas are becoming Buddhas, that's regarded as a fact. That's not hypothetical. Bodhisattvas will become Buddhas, right? That's not a hypothetical situation. Okay. So the example we use is that we count ordinary beings as ordinary beings. You put all the ordinary beings behind the bar. That's a big, serious negativity, right? But as compared with that, if we belittle one bodhisattva, the real bodhisattva, not the pretentious one, the real one, right? So that belittling is much more serious negative karma than putting. So that shows the seriousness of negative karma directed towards the bodhisattva, just to highlight that, right? That's what we're talking about. I hope that clarifies. The next question. Is there a practical question we can ask ourselves to ensure we are regarding other beings as we would Buddhas in our daily life? It is easy to assume we are respectfully engaging with others when in fact deeply rooted afflictions are still present. Okay. Tadi tiwadi dirish again. Tadagi nganzu disung borwake kalso kore nganzu 강사 수수 최신기 매사 간제 상마 상제 이내면 상제를 따샤나 엔 예버도 고그레스라 borwake 지다 갔다 가서 뭐네 디 치기 유매 소소소리야 다 독십시야 그 티와다 마선을 와게 삼로다야 가려요 스페는 가서 간게 러버리서 네 미상만로 귀샵 치기요다 서와게 라가세마다 딩이 가서 셈 코라 고 녀모 두숨 칸다요 와게 지도가 치기 요 라바다 치기 유매다 하고 거 말와게 제가 뭐여서 뭐네 전에 셈제 탐제 상제 다 딱이 유매 그 소소소리야 다 티와 땅 맨나게 팅귀 땅만 간데스 땅나 야그레 쓰고서다 냠랭 그 돈잖아 소소소
제때스고래 그러다 거기 심지 현다 쓰는 거 누자에서 서로 타제 도고 말아
노서
제가 타제부터 고사기지와 인식이 현주서와 인식이 이어서 디제시 그 유대지요라 노서 this 상제에 대해서 그 따르지는데 그 노래요 말이지와 디제요 말아 제가 되게 자셔서 가고 말아
노서. So maybe one way to think is that, we can always tell ourselves that, we cannot say for sure that this particular person or the being in front of me, right, is not a bodhisattva or is not a manifestation of enlightened being. Okay? So if we can't be 100% sure, right, to declare this is not very certain, then it's better to have, basically to give the benefit of the doubt, so to speak, that maybe he or she is a bodhisattva, maybe he or she is a Buddha, right? So that kind of reminding ourselves can help us to prevent, making, serious negative karmas. The next question. But if the perception is mistaken, we think we are harming an ordinary being, but they turn out to be bodhisattvas, the karma is not accumulated. Okay. Ta Qurangi ken diresha le kasore chela masa ba ke jeshi kusarwa gen chiwadi. Ta nganazu gi ken dirwa nganzu gi mi khangsa pheba cheliya ne ke ba chasha rwa gen so so ngwen ne rwa kwa. Yin khangsa pheba mai be ko pheba san tami changju sem ba re de ina rwa ha ma ko rwa gen. Dinde lenge chebena ledi chela masaba cheg marwas gorge kaza ha goyo marwa chanju sama yim marwa ge so so ge dadi mi pheba sre sam chik ta cheb rwa ge 지도 가라 이내 고 전주서 먹고 차도 예배나 레디 제알 마사바 책 말을 했어게.
this 처음부터 제가 시자 삼아서 대 되게 유기 되게 차는 shago 말와. 시드 사세드 삼년사 있는 농아 통은 시자 삼아 레서 말와. 다 삼에나 유리 뭐서 애네 그거 라글레마다 베도 말을 그거서 꾸야 말하지 유리고 되어 될이야 살아 마시.
맞아 봤어요. 나래.
딱 그거 사야나 인도는 그 시사진가 상세 그러마. 시사 사회에서 그러마.
나래.
어디서 그러면 다다디 유코를 지어서 그 말이. 라글레다 말하지.
Right. When we talk about different types of karma, we call it karma that's being done, that's being accumulated, or karma that is accumulated, not done, things like that. This has really no, this is from one's own point of view, one's own state of mind and action. It does not make difference whether that person is a bodhisattva, Buddha or not. Okay. The question here is that, we think somebody is ordinary, but that person happens to be bodhisattva, right? Couldn't this be a karma not accumulated? The Geshe answer is no, because when we talk about karma, being done and accumulated, let's say somebody has been thinking for a long time, okay, I want to steal that thing, right, whatever, but you never steal it. So that is called karma accumulated, but not done. You did not steal, right, but you accumulated the karma. But you want to steal, and then you go and steal it. Well, that is karma done and accumulated. So it has all to do from your point of view, right? Going on, nothing to do with on the objective side. Okay. I hope that clarifies it. Let me double check. Okay. Another question here. Why can't rule out someone from being a bodhisattva based on true evil actions they have committed? 알다 디레시게 다긴 만저 강사 수천주 선바레 마레스 야와 체토 말씀 버와게 디 마두버 가리나사 강사 카시에 그 중에 제 버와게 디바 중에 지도고 딘데 독자치고 거대 천주 선바 마레스 랍초고로 왔어 그러대 버와게 당한서 강사 최승 말로 버와게 카시 쩨벌 때 버와게 쩨바 코란 코트라 마시비 시비스로 거대 천주 선바 마레스 랍 하죠 가르레스 그러와
디데 응준 나와는 예바가 그래서 그러 응준 독자 돈은 독자 임비 차와다 야부돈 야부 예와 shago 말와 이 차는데 다 되고와 먼저 토할 때까지 이제 시야 메로와
So the question is, why we can't rule out someone from being a bodhisattva based upon true evil actions they have committed? The Geshe said, as an ordinary beings, we really can't be very sure about, what we are seeing is the truth of the matter. There's a lot of disparity between appearances and realities. We may see something that may not be the case. Yeah? So because of our limited perceptions, there's a disparity between how things exist and how things appear to us. We may think we heard it, we saw it, but that may not be the truth of the matter. So because of these uncertainties, this what we call indefinite perceptions we have, so we cannot rule out that somebody is not a bodhisattva because we see him or her do the cuckoo things, Geshe didn't say the cuckoo things, I added, Now I'm going to look down more. Okay, thank you very much. We had 5 questions. Today I have a number of prayer requests. 진 되는 게 인데도 벤진 긴디 취지님에 기겐 통과로 라 되는 벤진 긴디 취지님으로 와게 되는 공로 숨순이 피겨로 와 다다다 개미 그 닦아서 올게 가서 참여당해서 아니 굳이 샤베 때마다 투매 점심 나오러 와게 되네 되는 데 먼저님아 기도도 봐 연구 있어요 칼로스 모사 모 총도 와서 봐서게 데 투매 점심 나오러 나스 Dene Don Mackenzie signature dita tong dugu isara wage. De kemjusna ronasa. Da dene de nganzu kazan kare da. De nenjo me chinda cherwa Vietnamese amateur kim me kyogare dwa. Lock win second again call Tibetan points wage. That's the time you said de tume kemjuna ronasa. So I have a couple of prayer requests. First of all, maybe some of you know that today is the birthday of Penjin Kindin Chöji Nyima. who His Holiness Dalai Lama recognized. And then since 95, Communist China has forcefully disappeared him for 26 years. We even don't know he really is still alive or not. But today is his birthday, and he turns 32 years old. So we are still very much concerned about him, and so we still pray and hope that he is still alive, and that for his long life, and may we be able to see him, free soon. Other prayer requests are Carlos Moss passed away on Friday. I think she used to come here sometimes in the teaching. Huh?
Carol Moss.
Oh, Carol Moss. Okay, so it was misspelled here. Okay. Oh, Carol Moss. Okay. Carol Moss passed away. That's right. Carol Moss passed away on Friday. So prayer request for her. Don McKenzie, this is from Thurso, is passing away. So prayer for him. And then Lok Nguyen had a stroke on the left brain. He's getting a little better, so we pray for him as well. And then any others, who need our prayers as well. Chadong Golun Gebe, Yabo Don, Jendong, Geba Sangbe, Sanje Don, Kangla Kandi, Dela, Dedumba, Jumba, Jenre Sela, Chanze, de Omani Beme, 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 Omani Beme. Omane beme hore gawa de nyodo da jere se wan robjo ne de sala ge bor sho tuje kun la nyombe chomden de sanzang thebe nyen de dong e se du zon ne se sanje menje bindo ya ye ve la cha se om begaze ma begaze la se mo da on begaze ma begaze samo ga de so da on begaze ma begaze so da on begaze ma begaze samo ga so da on begaze ma begaze samo da on begaze ma begaze samo ga de so da on begaze ma begaze samo ga de da on begaze ma begaze samo ga de da on begaze ma begaze samo ga de Dayadam Begaze Begaze Ma Begaze Begaze Samagadi So Dayadam Begaze Begaze Ma Begaze Begaze Samagadi Dayadam Begaze Begaze Ma Begaze Begaze Samagadi So Dayadam Begaze Begaze Ma Begaze Begaze Samagadi Dayadam Begaze Begaze Ma Begaze Begaze Samagadi Dayadam Begaze Begaze Ma Begaze Begaze Samagadi So Dayadam Begaze Begaze Ma Begaze Begaze Samagadi Dayadam Begaze Begaze Ma Begaze Begaze Samagadi So Dayadam Begaze Begaze Ma Begaze Begaze Samagadi So Dayadam Ranza Zamonga Deye So Ha Gewa Di Nyudo Da Membe Yewo Robjone Lowa Chiyama Deye Sala Gwebor Sho Kange Lode Dimye Dinde Ninda Namda Rabsebe Chinye Dungun Chishe Seje Nije Toga Kanda Zebe Zura Mare Bendon Dunge Yise Lozo Gunla Boje Taze Yala Roje Yan Roda Jero Nyumo Nyelo Leje Chado Deje Mare Minze Dunge Chinye Junze Redina Dene Daje Saju Taze Yende Benzo Juda Juda Junyi Da le men zen jang be yang la do ma ra ba za na di Omara baza na de zenden cheje chenra vese je dale demo membara kada denje shonlo doba ye loje nawa zendo su loje gyaltsen udong bega de kesan pongwe chedo mem denba zen la wangdo ye changnian shogun so wang de changzhou simzhou rinpoche ma je bana jeju je gyaba nyamba Kone Gondong Pewa Sho Tongye Tawa Rinpoche Maje Nyamba Meba Yang Kone Gondong Pewa Sho Sa Shi Beji Joshin Medo Dhamma Rira Lingshi Nyinde Yenpa Sanje Shindo Mede Vil Dogun Nanda Shinla Jeba Sho Kangri Rabe Korwe Shingam De Pendang Dewa Mali Jung Chende se wang Tenzin Gyeltsen Shabe Sede Bado Denjo Je Idama Guru Radama Niyandaya Min Gyewa Gundo Yangda Lamanda Deme Shege Bela Long Sada Lamye Yenden Rabzo Nen Doje Change Goba Nyur To Jo